What is up, Coronacation?
Hey guys, welcome to Coronacation Day 85. I'm on my tippy toes.
I only have one hand, so there's the 8. There's.
I can just do this part.
There we go. So
It didn't work.
It's
8 and then 10.
Huh? You had what?
I had 5.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I was only looking at my hands on the screen.
Welcome to church. We are so glad that you have joined us online again.
It's Sunday, and you know what that means. We usually have a challenge to kick off our Sunday
We
morning.
doing church in a tent again?
Nope, not that. Not
But
a fort.
Could they build like a
Oh,
fort?
definitely if they wanted
If you
to.
wanted to.
So Corey, I was thinking. You know, we haven't been around our friends in a long time.
It's true.
Together. I mean, I've been around you. You're my friend.
Co-worker.
Yeah. But I imagine that a lot of our students and kids are missing their friends.
It's true.
And so I was like, well, how could they worship together while being at home without being able to actually like be right next to each other? And I thought, what if in a minute and 30 seconds they drew a picture of their friend or their small group?
So you got
Either way.
minute and a half to draw your friends.
Yeah, draw your friends.
Then you can go to church with your friends.
Yeah, and then you can be at church with your friends.
I like it.
So it's only you can do one friend, 2 friends, 3 friends. You could do your whole small group.
In a minute and a half?
You could do your small group leader. I guess it depends if they use stick figures or not.
Okay.
You know what? How about we just go ahead?
Could they bring us?
Yes.
I got a little goatee. Andrew's got a big old beard.
I got a beard. You can. I would love to be there with you.
I have more hair than him.
But Corey, we are already on the screen, so they're kind of here with us.
Two of us.
You know what? Let's go ahead and count them down.
Oh, we better get started.
All right. So it's hard to see Corey's screen, but all right, ready? A minute 30. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
So right now they're creating their art.
Yes.
Pencils, crayons, markers. What do you recommend?
I recommend paintbrushes.
Ooh,
And
in a minute and a half.
Crayons, definitely. Colored pencils are good.
Okay. What about crowns?
See, Levi says crowns.
Yeah, in the South, a lot of people say crowns.
No, we say crayons. Crayons.
All right. So what details are you including in your picture?
Definitely height.
Height.
Yeah, proportions. They got to be
I
right.
started on my tippy toes today, and it still doesn't make a big
They
difference.
gotta be right. You know, right now I'm finding how thankful I am for our camera stand.
Your arm's getting tired.
arm's
Well,
getting-
you still got 46 seconds.
So maybe they could draw a tired arm for me if they're drawing one.
Yeah.
A
very, very tired and weak arm.
Yeah.
Just not able to
Who
hold
would
a
you
phone.
put in your picture?
Let's see. I would probably put some like my close friends, like Tyler Woodard. I love doing church with him. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Steven Slappy, some of these guys, mostly because they'd be easier to draw. I think drawing a guy might be easier than drawing a girl.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think drawing a guy would be easier because I wouldn't want to offend any.
It's true.
Ladies.
But you
know?
could maybe be better artists than us. I know your timer's almost out, though.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So if you only drew half of somebody, then I guess.
Well, we're going to show another video. They could continue with some art.
That's true.
Not like their person's cut in half or anything.
That's
they
true.
Can keep drawing.
And, they can always just pause us. And
no. Don't
and
pause us.
Finish their small group.
What if they get distracted and then do something different? They miss out on church.
That's true. They would come back. They'll come back. They will. And my arm's getting really shaky. Can you tell?
Yeah. We should probably jump into our next video.
Yeah, let's go. All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Guys, shh. Don't tell Corey, okay? But I'm in the closet of All Stars. I haven't seen this sign in so long. Just like I haven't seen some of you in so long, and I am really, really missing you. 456, I miss you guys too. I don't get to hang out with you as much, but I miss you guys. And sorry, your sign's not hidden here, but there's the All-Star Closet sign. I guess it's not the closet sign, but it's the sign. It's the All-Star sign. And we're hanging out in here because I just haven't seen it in a while. And I missed it. But speaking of seeing things, have you ever been playing basketball? Like, check this out. There just happens to be a ball right here. It's right here. I mean, like I have a ball in my hand. What happens when I drop this ball? Yeah, it falls to the ground. Why? Like when you shoot a basketball and it bounces off of the goal, or if you're like me and you airball it, what happens to it? It falls to the ground. Why? Why is that? Why does it fall to the ground? Well, I'll tell you why. It's gravity. And we know it's there, but we can't see it. So we have the faith that gravity's there, right? It's believing in something that we cannot see. Okay, what about this? Let's see. Oh, I have a visitor. It is Isaac Tate. He just dropped into our Sunday message. What up, Isaac?
Hello.
Hey, I'm just telling him about faith. You care if I keep teaching while you're in here?
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay, so you might hear some noises from Isaac, but I think he's just doing some intern work, and he's rocking it. So, do what?
I'm leaving.
All right, see you, dude. Okay, that was a brief interruption from Isaac. No worries, though. Glad to see him. So, where was it? Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things to do is to play music. You've seen me playing my guitar. Well, when I play the guitar, like, you can see me play it, but what comes out of it? Can you see anything that comes out of it? I can't, but I can hear something, and there's sound waves. But they're not doing that. They're making prettier noises than that, but you can't see them, but you can hear them, right? So you know that there's music there, even though you can't see it. So that's kind of what faith is. It is knowing that there's something there, even when we can't see it. And actually, our memory verse this month is faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. That is faith. And that's where we jump right into Hebrews 11. And that's where we get that from. Hebrews 11, we don't know who wrote Hebrews, but there's some pretty cool stories in there, and it's talking about faith, and it starts off talking about Abraham. Well, God promised Abraham a son, and he said that he would save the world through this son. Like, that's a big deal. He said that he would save the world through his son, and that Abraham would have sons and daughters as numerous as the stars and the sands on the seashore. Like, that is a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot. But they were getting old, like older than your mom and dad, older than your grandparents, maybe even older than your great-grandparents. And they still hadn't had their son. Well, they kept obeying God and they kept trusting him. And finally, they had a son, and they named him Isaac. Well, a few years later, God's like, you know what? I want to test how much Abraham trusts me. And so he tells Abraham, he's like, hey, I want you to go up and give your son back to me. I want you to sacrifice your son. And man, like how terrible would that be? How hard would that be to kill your own child, to give him back to God? But Abraham, he believed, and he believed that God was bigger than what he was feeling right in that moment, and that he knew that God could raise Isaac from the dead. That's how much he believed in God's power. And so he obeyed. He obeyed God, and he took Isaac up the mountain, and he went to go sacrifice him. And God provided a way to save Isaac. He saw the faith of Abraham, and Abraham trusted him, and God knew that he could trust Abraham, and that Abraham trusted him. How cool is that? And then Isaac sees the faith of his dad, and he starts to live in that same faith. And then Isaac passes it to his children, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob passes it to his children. And the story of faith just continues. And then we get to the story of Moses and his parents. They were hiding because Moses was in danger. All the sons were in danger, but they knew something was special about Moses, so they hid him. And then Pharaoh and his family found Moses in the river, and they raised him, and he raised up Moses in the Egyptian world. Well, then Moses later on met God in a burning bush. How crazy is that? And the burning bush was talking to him, and it wasn't burning up. And later, God led Moses to go back to Pharaoh and say, let my people go, because Moses was an Israelite who was raised up an Egyptian. And the Israelites were like slaves. They were treating them very, very, very poorly. And those were God's people. And so God led Moses to say, let my people go. Then you fast forward to the story of David. Well, David, he was promised as a young boy that he would be king. Like, how cool is that? What would happen if you were promised to be king? Like, that's big deal. But he had to live and live and grow and live and grow. And eventually, King Saul, just an evil spirit had gotten into his heart. It was tormenting his heart. And he was jealous and afraid of David. And he wanted to kill David. And David, who is supposed to be king, who's the next king, is being chased by the current king. And the current king is trying to kill David. But David trusts in God. He trusts in God. He has faith in God. And he continues to obey God. And what eventually happens? David becomes king. How cool is that? Then we fast forward all the way. And remember, all of these people are in the line of Abraham. Like, so the promise is being carried out. Well, then you fast forward all the way to the New Testament. And that's where Jesus comes along. And so remember back on Abraham when I said that there was a promised Savior, that he would save the world through Abraham. And that all these descendants and all these sons and daughters would be through the line of Abraham. Well, that just kept going. And then the line of David is through Abraham. And then you have Jesus from the line of David, just carried all the way down. Well, Jesus comes along and he lives a life and he shows us how to love God and to love people. Man, that's so important, especially right now. It's always important. But man, we are seeing a world right now that they don't love God and they don't love others, and we as followers of Jesus can show them that. But anyway, Jesus lives a perfect life, and he goes to the cross and he dies on the cross, and then he's raised from the dead. But what's cool about that is he had all these disciples, and they lived and saw him teach for 3 years, and they were with him and they were learning from him. And then they saw their best friend Jesus crucified on the cross. They saw him die on the cross, but then not long after they saw him raised from the dead. And so they got to see it. They got to see it with their eyes. But you know what? We don't get to see it. We didn't get to see it, did we? No, we didn't get to see it. But guess what? We can have faith in Jesus because of what they saw and the stories that they wrote. That's what the New Testament is. It's all about the story of Jesus and how we're supposed to live our lives. So you had guys like Peter who wrote down what he saw, and Matthew and Mark and Luke and John. They all speak of their time with Jesus. We don't have as much from Peter, like I was saying, but he lived a life, and he lived his life out like Paul and these other guys who showed that they had been with Jesus, and they kept telling people about it, and those people would tell people about it, and those people would tell people about it. And now we're here, and now we can know, and we can believe the same thing that they saw. We can have faith in what we can't see. That's what's really cool about faith, is we can know something and we can believe something that we can't see. We can see the evidence of it, like the basketball falling to the ground. We can see the evidence of gravity, but we don't see gravity. We can see the evidence of Jesus and the change that he creates in people, but we can't see Jesus. We can see the stories, we can read the stories of him, but we don't see him. We have to have faith. We have to believe and be sure of what we can't see. So, I'm going to leave you with this. You can know Jesus even though you've never seen him. Remember that. You can know Jesus even though you've never seen him. Just like gravity, just like music. You can't see it, but you know it's there. You can't see Jesus, but you know he is there.
The Bible, it's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how he created us and loves us so much that he made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Hebrews, chapters 11 and 12.
Gotta have a little faith, 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 faith. Keep the faith. Take a leap of faith. You know, a lot of people toss around the word faith lately. We say you can break the faith, or just take it all on blind faith. But true faith isn't blind at all. It's much more than just an inspirational word. True faith has to do with believing in all the things you can't see, because you start with what you can see. Now, we can't see God with our physical eyes, but we can see the stories of people who came before us. They lived in a broken world like we do, but they chose to follow God. They chose to trust his promise that one day he would send a rescuer that would make everything right again. The writer of Hebrews in the New Testament tells us about some of these men and women in God's story. People like Noah, people like Abraham.
Abraham.
When God called Abraham, he was already getting old. He and his wife Sarah didn't have kids.
Leave your country and your people. Leave your father's family. Go to the land I will show you. All nations on earth will be blessed because of you.
God was planning on sending his rescuer as one of Abraham's great, etc. grandchildren. But still, even though Abraham had God's promise, he still couldn't see the one God was sending. Still, Abraham went on a wild adventure, following God's call. And even his descendants, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, all chose faith in God. Moses, too, was called by God from the fiery heart of a burning bush. Even though he was raised by Pharaoh's daughter, he chose to stand with his own people and face Pharaoh's anger to win freedom. We read about it like this in the book of Hebrews.
Moses suffered shame because of Christ. He thought it of great value.
See, when you check out Hebrews, you discover this huge list of people who followed God by faith, so many that the writer just stops trying to list all of them. Oh, but we can't forget Israel's most important king, David.
Get up and anoint him. This is the one.
Even though God had promised David would be king, though, David spent years on the run from King Saul, fearing for his life. Still, he chose to trust God.
The Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need.
Now, none of these people in the Old Testament could see with their eyes how God was going to save his people, but they could see how he was working in their lives, how their needs were being met. So they chose to believe in his greater plan. They chose faith.
Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. That is what the people of long ago were praised for.
Now, here's where the story turns. In Hebrews, we discover that none of those people in the Old Testament received what God had promised here on earth.
That's because God had planned something better for us, so they would only be made perfect together with us.
God's plan includes all of us from the very beginning of creation. So at just the right moment, at the perfect point in time, God sent his rescuer, the hero, his very own son, Jesus. Jesus showed us how to live. He showed us what God was like, and he told us the most important thing.
If you love one another everyone will know you are my disciples.
Love God, love others. It's the heart of the whole story. But then, Jesus was killed, and his friends thought the story was finished. Period. Dot. The end. Until God raised him back to life. Jesus has defeated death, and those who follow him can live with him forever. But how do you follow someone you can't see? Well, that brings us back to faith.
Let us keep looking to Jesus. He is the one who started this journey of faith, and he is the one who completes this journey of faith. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to. So think about him. Then you won't lose hope.
The early believers, Peter and John and other followers of Jesus, had seen him teach and heal. They saw him after God raised him to life. But after Jesus returned to heaven, the believers continued to live by faith.
We have to speak about the things we've seen and heard.
Because of what the new Christians in the early church had seen, they could believe in what they could not yet see, the end of the story, where God makes everything right. They kept the faith, and because they did, we can choose faith too.
Woo! Take a look at this one. Any guesses on what that is? It's the inside of a carnation stem. It's amazing how things look so different under a microscope than they do just with our eyes. It makes me think of Hebrews chapter 11. It's where we can look back to all these people in history who had faith in God. Even though they couldn't always see how things would turn out, they believed God and his promises. They lived by faith. And you can live by faith too. In fact, having faith in Jesus and what he did for you on the cross is what makes it possible for you to have a relationship with God. Relationship status update. Even though we can't see Jesus in person, we can still have faith in him because we can see how he's worked in the lives of the people who've come before us. That's the one thing to remember today. You can know Jesus even though you've never seen him. If you want to know Jesus more and you don't know where to start, try talking with someone who has put their faith in Jesus. Or you can read the stories in the Bible of the people who trusted God long ago. There are lots of things we can see that can help us have faith. So, I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'm gonna look at a few more things under my microscope. Like maybe my nail! Ah! Let's check it out. Oh, I need to wash my hands better. This microscope tells you a lot.
I am here with Zeb, representing 456 and All Stars. It's cool that we can just be together.
Yeah.
You know, and that we can come in here and worship, and hopefully the sound quality is good. We're trying something a little bit different. But this morning we got a song for you. Zeb's gonna lead us, and I'm gonna play guitar, and we hope that you join us at home. Let's do it, Waymaker.
We worship you, Jesus. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're working in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you, 'cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Sing, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. And even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, my light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. And that is who you are. And that is who you are. Can you pray for us, Deb? Yeah. God, I just thank you for Andrew, and I just thank you that we as a church family, God, even though we may not necessarily be together all the time like we used to, Lord, that you're still working, that you're still moving, that your presence is still here with us, God, and that you're helping us every step of the way. And so, God, I pray that as we just go throughout our morning, that we would just remember, Lord, that you are big, that you are stronger, that you are more powerful than any kind of darkness that may try to come our way, God. God, you are our way maker, the miracle worker, our promise keeper, the light in the darkness. And so, God, we trust you. Jesus, we love you. God, I pray that our hearts would just be a place where you can just simply speak, and that we would just learn to lean into you and trust that you will give us peace even in the midst of all the chaos, God. And God, we just love you and we praise you. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.